Yo, what's up guys? It's Noah here, and in today's video, I'm going to be talking through the NBA slate on Draftkings for Thursday, February the 23rd. This is our first day back from the All-Star break, so we had about a week with no NBA games. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the All-Star break. If you played some DFS, hopefully you won some money over the break. I personally did not play like any DFS during the break. I just kind of took some time off, got away from the computer for a little bit, but I'm excited to be back. Usually with the All-Star break, after the first few days, like the first few days with no NBA, they're fun. It's nice to get away, but after like 4 or 5 days without NBA, I start to get really bored. So I'm excited to be back and talking some NBA. We had a 9-game slate for Thursday, so plenty of games to go over. We're going to go game by game, guys, like we always do. Give a quick breakdown of this 9-game slate, what I do like, taking a first look on Wednesday. Recording this video on Wednesday afternoon, so technically, at the time of making this video, we don't have NBA yet, but by the time you guys watch this video on Thursday, we'll have NBA starting back up, and we'll talk through these 9 games. So before we do get started with the breakdown, as always, if you guys enjoy these DFS videos, if they do help you out, please hit that like button down below, hit that subscribe button if you have not yet, and if you guys are new to the channel, and if you have never checked out PrizePicks before, PrizePicks is the sponsor of this video. You guys can sign up for PrizePicks and use my promo code Noah. If you do look at the bottom of the screen, when you sign up for PrizePicks with promo code Noah, PrizePicks will match your first deposit up to $100. And for those of you that have never heard about PrizePicks, they're pretty simple and easy to use. It's a DFS site more focused on player props, so just taking more or less on a player's projection. And you can see all the projections they already have posted for Thursday's games. They have a lot of fantasy score props up. They have points props, rebounds, assists, PRA, ton of different categories. Again, you're just taking more or less. If there's a projection you think is either too high or too low, you pick one way or the other. You have to make at least 2 picks, but you can make up to 6 picks, and you can win up to 25x your money on PrizePicks. So get over there, guys. Use that promo code Noah when you sign up. Get your first deposit matched up to $100. And I do plan on making a PrizePicks video for this NBA slate. It'll probably go up sometime later on Wednesday. I'm recording this video on Wednesday afternoon, so probably like a few hours after this video gets posted, I will post my PrizePicks video. So if you guys want to know some plays I like for PrizePicks, you can check out that video. I'll talk through some plays in that one. But let's go ahead and talk through this Thursday 9-game slate. We'll start off with the first game of the night, the Nuggets and the Cavs. So we'll start off on the Cleveland side. There's not too much to like on Cleveland today. Cleveland's pretty much coming into this game fully healthy. Looking at their main guys like Donovan Mitchell, Darius Garland, Evan Mobley, Jared Allen, where these guys are priced at, like none of them look like great options today. Mitchell's $9,500. He's really expensive. Obviously, he's been playing well, and prior to the All-Star break, he was playing really, really well. But the price tag at $9,500 doesn't make him really look like that great of a play today. Same with Garland at $8,400. The bigs, Mobley and Allen. Mobley $8K, Allen $6,600. I'm not a big fan of either one. Like there's really not much that stands out in Cleveland today. Cleveland definitely not a team I'm super interested in. And then on the Denver side, it's a really tough spot here going up against a Cleveland team that plays good defense, that plays at a really slow pace. Nikola Jokic is a matchup-proof player. He can crush in any matchup. He put up 69, almost 70 Draftkings points against Cleveland last time they played. The Nuggets, before the All-Star break, they were playing without Jamal Murray, without Aaron Gordon. Those guys were missing a lot of games. I expect Jamal Murray and Aaron Gordon to both be back for this game, so that definitely hurts Jokic a little bit, but I still think Jokic is going to have a big role. He's going to dominate usage. He's a guy that can stuff the stat sheet. I mean, you look last game before the All-Star break against Dallas, he took 9 shots and he scored 51 Draftkings points. Like that's just the kind of player that Jokic is. He can contribute in all categories, has triple-double upside. Even in a tougher matchup against Cleveland, I still think Jokic looks pretty good today. Jamal Murray at $8,700, I'm going to pass on, way too expensive. Aaron Gordon at $7,600, I'll pass on. It's really just Jokic for me, and I think that's it from Denver. Nothing else looks that great here. Reggie Jackson got traded to Denver. He got picked up by Denver. We'll have to see if he's available for this game. I'm not sure if he'll be available or not. Most likely he will. I don't think he's really going to be DFS relevant, but did at least want to mention him. But that's really it for this game. Not too much to like in this one. Jokic, definitely my favorite play here. Moving on to the next game, though, Detroit and Orlando. So for Orlando today, it's a really good spot here against the Pistons. The Pistons, they're a terrible defensive team, one of the worst defensive teams in the league. So I think this is definitely a spot we can expect somebody from Orlando to do well. Paulo Banchero's coming in at $7,900. I think Banchero feels priced about right today, but this matchup is really good. Obviously, Detroit defensively, again, one of the worst defensive teams. We know if this game's competitive, which it should be, Banchero's going to play really big minutes. So I'm fine with him at $7,900. I think Markelle Fultz at $6K looks really appealing. Fultz, finished out the All-Star break really strong, had back-to-back really good games against Chicago and Toronto. Do want to mention that Cole Anthony did not play in either one of those games. I expect Cole Anthony will be back for this game, but I still think Fultz is going to play big minutes. I mean, he's been playing like over 30 minutes a night. The matchup's great. Detroit's been terrible defensively against point guards this year, so definitely my favorite play on Orlando today is Markelle Fultz. I think he looks really solid at 6K. Franz Wagner not had the greatest season. He's been super underwhelming lately. The matchup's great. I think Wagner's playable, but I'd rather go to Fultz. I think Wendell Carter Jr. at 5,800 is okay. Feels priced about right, but Detroit again just such a good matchup. So I think Wendell Carter it stands out as a fine option. Nothing else from Orlando though looks that great. I don't see too much else I like here. Definitely favorite play on Orlando today is for sure Markelle Fultz. And then on the Detroit side, Bojan Bogdanovic is going to have a big role. He's going to play big minutes if this game's competitive. He's going to take plenty of shots. Orlando, I think, is a pretty good matchup as well. At 6,300, like this price tag for Bojan, I think is fine. Bojan, he's not a guy that really offers like massive upside just because he's such a scoring-dependent player. He's not really going to contribute too much with rebounds and assists. In order for him to have like a really big game, he's going to have to score like 30-plus real-life points. But we saw him put up 33 points, 46 Draftkings points against Toronto. He can have those type of games against a Magic team that's not that great defensively. Yeah, I'm fine with Bojan today. I think he's definitely in play. The rest of Detroit, though, I don't see too much else I like here. Jalen Duren at 5,200, has shown good point per minute upside this season, but I'm a little bit worried now that they have James Wiseman. Like, how much is that going to cut into Duren? We saw James Wiseman, I think he did make his debut last game before the All-Star break, and he played 24 minutes. Wasn't very productive, but like, James Wiseman is a guy that can be a good permanent producer when he gets minutes. The fact that he played 24 minutes in his first game with Detroit is definitely concerning. I don't know if him and Duren might have just split the center minutes evenly. I think they did. So like, if Duren's going to be splitting the center minutes with Wiseman's 24-24, it just makes Duren a tough guy to roster at 5,200. On the other hand, though, Wiseman at 3,500, I think actually looks like a decent value. We'll have to wait and see like what kind of value opens up today. If any value opens up, probably won't. But 3,500 for Wiseman, if he's going to continue to play 22, 24 minutes, I mean, he's a good permanent producer. I definitely like James Wiseman as a value play here. They said that he was going to start with the Pistons, but obviously that didn't happen last game. Maybe he starts here. I doubt it, but we'll have to keep an eye on this. I think Wiseman, though, is for sure a good value at 3,500. The rest of Detroit, though, nothing else looks that great here. Killian Hayes at 4,700, I don't mind for value. He's been playing pretty good minutes. I think he's solid. He's going to probably play like 28, 30 minutes. The price tag at 4,700 looks good. So I definitely think Killian Hayes is in play. But that's probably it for Detroit. I don't see too much else I like here. Some of these questionable guys, like Marvin Bagley's been out for a while. He might be back for this game. I don't know how much his minutes, how many minutes is he going to play given he's been out for like over a month and a half. He might be, really strictly limited in his first game back. So I don't think he's going to have too much of an impact on, really anyone. I do expect still that you'll see Wiseman and Duren split the center minutes. Maybe Bagley cuts into Isaiah Stewart a little bit, but I don't think he'll have too much of an impact on the other guys. So yeah, that'll do it for that game. Let's move on to the next one, Boston and Indiana. So for Indiana today, it's not the best matchup here against Boston, but we know, in a competitive game, Tyrese Haliburton, Miles Turner are going to play really big minutes. Those are the two guys that, for the most part, are going to dominate usage. The offense is going to run through those two guys. Haliburton at 9,600. Wish he was a little bit cheaper. At that price tag, I'm not super interested in him. I think he's just more of like a tournament option. Miles Turner at 7,200, I don't mind here. The matchup is not great. Boston's been much better defensively against bigs ever since Robert Williams came back, but you're going to get big minutes from Miles Turner if this game is competitive. I think he's playable at 7,200. There's some playable options on Indiana, but no standout plays here. Nothing looks that great other than like Turner and Haliburton as GPP plays. And then on the Celtics side, it's a good matchup here for the Celtics. Indiana plays at a pretty fast pace. They're not like the best defensive team, so I think Tatum and Brown are both in good spots. Obviously, Tatum had the really big game in the All-Star game, won the MVP. How does that affect his outlook for today? I don't think it matters really much at all, but Tatum looked great in the All-Star game. He was taking a ton of shots. He was playing really well before the All-Star break. The price tag at 11K feels about right for him, but I think the matchup is really good that Tatum can definitely pop off again here. I don't have an issue going there at 11K. I don't have an issue going to Jaylen Brown either. Neither one of Brown or Tatum, though, stand out as priority plays today. And the rest of Boston, like Derek White's been playing great, but now that the team is fully healthy, now they have Tatum back, Brown back, Smart back, it's going to be tough to roster Derek White at 6,800. Same goes for Marcus Smart at 6,400. Robert Williams was out their last game before the All-Star break. I expect he'll play today at 6,200. he's playable, I think. This matchup is pretty good. We've seen Indiana give up a lot of fancy points to centers this season. They've been a good matchup for centers kind of all year. And, before the All-Star break, Robert Williams was playing like 30, 32 minutes a night. If we're getting 30-plus minutes from Williams at 6,200, he's got good permanent upside, and especially in a good matchup like this, he could definitely have a good game here. So he might be my favorite play on Boston. There's no standout core options coming from this team, but I think Robert Williams at 6,200 looks solid. Tatum and Brown are both fine as well, but that'll do it for that game, I think. Let's move on to the next game, the Pelicans and the Raptors. So for the Raptors today, they've been without Gary Trent, OG Anunoby for the last few games, but I think those guys, it looks like they're going to be back for today. So Toronto's pretty much going to be fully healthy for this one. Something I'm going to be interested to see is what Toronto does with the starting lineup. So they acquired Jakob Poeltl, and Jakob Poeltl was starting, the few games that that OG Anunoby was out, and some of the games, or I think the games that OG and Trent were both out, Poeltl started those games, and he's actually played pretty well as a starter. So we for sure know that Siakam, Van Vliet, Scotty Barnes are going to start. We probably know that OG is going to start. Does Gary Trent continue to start, or do they go with Poeltl as a starter and then move Trent to the bench? It's going to be something to keep an eye on. The top Toronto guys like Siakam, Van Vliet, Scotty Barnes, if they're price tags, I don't love any of them, especially now that OG is coming back, now that Gary Trent's coming back. Those guys feel a little bit overpriced, but we do know this Toronto team is going to run a really tight rotation. They're going to play their guys really big minutes. There's always upside for those main Toronto guys, but again, the price tags doesn't make any of them look that great. OG and Trent, where they're priced at, I think they're playable, but neither one of them look that great. Jakob Poeltl is the guy that I'm really interested in from the Raptors. So again, he started the last game for Toronto and played 37 minutes, and we've seen Jakob Poeltl be a great permanent producer. The only issue is like when he was with San Antonio, they were really keeping his minutes kind of in check. He wasn't playing a ton of minutes. At most, he would play like 30 minutes a night. Well, now, with this Toronto team, Toronto, they run a tight rotation. They're going to play their main guys big minutes, and it seems like Poeltl is going to be a tight part of their rotation. Does he start or does he come off the bench? That's kind of the big question. But if Jakob Poeltl is a starter, and if he's going to start this game, and if he's going to play 30-plus minutes, at 5,900, he looks like a great play today, one of my favorite plays on the slate. But it's all going to depend on if he's in the starting lineup or not. That'll be something we have to keep an eye on. Again, I think for sure we know that Siakam, Van Vliet, Scotty Barnes are going to start. I think we know for sure OG is going to start. The big question is it Poeltl or is it Gary Trent? Which one of those guys starts? If it's Poeltl, really like him at 5,900, and he would definitely be my favorite play on Toronto. Nothing else from the Raptors, though, looks that great. Achua, Boucher, these guys are going to take a hit now that OG's back, now that Gary Trent's back, so I don't really have any interest in them. And then on the other side with the Pelicans, so for the most part with the Pelicans, we know they're going to have just about everyone healthy except for Zion. Zion's going to remain out, but Brandon Ingram, CJ McCollum, both are healthy now. And given this matchup against the Raptors, especially with the Raptors getting OG back, one of their best defenders, it's not a spot I really want to attack. Brandon Ingram has had a really big role, really big usage rate since he's come back from his injury, but he's 8,900 in this matchup against Toronto. Ingram doesn't look like that great of a play today. CJ McCollum at 8,200, I'm not super interested in either. J-Val, I think, is the one guy I could kind of get behind. We've seen J-Val be a good permanent producer, and when J-Val gets minutes, he can put up big games. The only issue is that his minutes have kind of been all over the place this season, but if this is a spot where he does get like 30, 32 minutes, I mean, last time they faced Toronto, he put up 37 DK points in only 25 minutes. Toronto's a team you can kind of beat with centers. Like they're a good defensive team, but where they really struggle is down low against centers. Jakob Poeltl's never been a great defender, so I think it's a pretty good spot for J-Val. If the minutes are there, I think the upside is there. He's a GPP play that I do like for today. Larry Nance was out last game prior to the break, so we'll have to see if he plays. I assume he'll be back for this one, but if he doesn't play, obviously that would be even better for Valanciunas. I would like Valanciunas even more if Larry Nance remained out. But the rest of the Raptors, Herb Jones, Trey Murphy, none of these guys are that appealing. So let's go ahead, or not, I said the Raptors, the rest of the Pelicans, excuse me. The rest of the Pelicans, none of them look that great. So let's move on to the next game, talk about Memphis and Philly. So Philly, for the Sixers today, I think Joel Embiid is a guy that we can definitely look to as a pay-up option. He's kind of like Jokic in the sense that he's matchup proof. It doesn't matter who he's going up against. Embiid's one of these guys that can put up a huge game any night. Now, Memphis, they've been without Steven Adams. We'll have to see if Steven Adams returns here. He was out for almost a month before the All-Star break. I would assume Steven Adams comes back for this game, but there's really been no report on his status. So if Steven Adams remains out, that definitely makes the matchup better for Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid has been a matchup-proof player anyways. He's a guy that can just crush no matter who he's going up against. And obviously, in a spot without potentially Steven Adams, I think this is definitely a spot where Embiid can have plenty of success. If I was going to play anyone on the Sixers today, Embiid would be the first guy that I would look to. I think at 11-1, he's a firm pay-up option. He's a fine pay-up option, firmly in play. The rest of the Sixers, though, like Harden at 9,900, I'm not that interested in. I think he's playable, but doesn't look that great at his price tag. Maxey and Harris, I really haven't been playing either one of them this season. Their price tags have come way down, though. Like, Maxey's only 5,300 now. He's been coming off the bench and playing like 30 minutes a night, so like I still think he's playable at 5,300. Tobias Harris, his per minute production's been pretty terrible lately, but man, he's 4,900. Like, I don't think Tobias Harris has been 4,900 like all season, and I don't think he's been 4,900 for like the last like 4 or 5 years. I mean, this is the price tag that we haven't seen Tobias Harris be under, in a while. We haven't seen him below 5K in forever. So, man, 4,900 for Tobias Harris. Again, he's not been that great when he's been playing with Embiid and with Harden, but the price tag is just so low that I think Tobias Harris is definitely in play today, and I do have some interest in him. I would say he's my second favorite play from Philly behind Joel Embiid. Nothing else, though, from the Sixers I'm really looking to. Definitely two favorite plays here are Embiid and Harris. And then on the other side with Memphis, so it's not the best spot for Memphis. Philly's a good defensive team. Philly plays at a really slow pace as well. John Morant's one of these guys that can also put up a huge game any night, but on this slate, I would rather pay up for Jokic. I'd rather pay up for Embiid. I'm not that interested in Ja today. I think he's playable, but more of a GPP dart throw. And the rest of Memphis, like Bane and Triple J, where they're priced at, don't love either one. Steven Adams, even if he plays today, he might be on a minutes limit since he's been out for so long. Plus the matchup against Embiid, I don't love. So not super interested in Steven Adams. Don't really want to go to the other guys on Memphis. Dylan Brooks is super cheap as well. He's kind of similar to Tobias Harris. His per minute production has been terrible lately, but 4,200 is a really cheap price tag for Dylan Brooks. So, like, I think Dylan Brooks is playable. I would probably rather roster Tobias Harris, though, if I was going to play one of those two guys. I think that's it for this game. So, let's go ahead and move on to the next one, San Antonio and Dallas. So, for Dallas today, Kyrie, he did sit out their last game before the All-Star break, but he played in the All-Star game, and he was great. So, I think Kyrie will be back, obviously, for this one. And Dallas will pretty much be fully healthy. Tim Hardaway Jr. was missing. He missed a few games before the All-Star break, but I think he'll be back for this game as well. So I don't love too much on Dallas here. The only thing I'll say is that the matchup is great against San Antonio. Luka and Kyrie, when they're playing together, it's going to be tough to predict which one has the big game. Luka was playing really well prior to the All-Star break and prior to their last two games. Put up 59 DK points against Minnesota, 64 against Denver. I think because the matchup is so good, it's pretty likely that one of Kyrie or Luka has a good game here. Kyrie's coming in at 10-3, obviously coming in at a much bigger discount than Luka. I'm fine with either one today. I think they're both playable. Again, San Antonio, great matchup, bad defensive team. San Antonio plays fast as well. So, yeah, I'm fine with Luka and Kyrie. I think given the savings, I would rather go to Kyrie, but both guys are in play for me. The rest of Dallas, though, I don't really like too much else here. Christian Wood, not really been getting like a ton of minutes lately. We'll have to see, prior to the after the All-Star break now that he's had a lot of time to rest. Christian Wood, he only played about 4 or 5 games since returning from his injury. So maybe after a week to rest up, maybe he gets back to full minutes here. And we know Christian Wood is a guy that when he does get minutes, he can produce. He can put up, 1.3, 1.4 Draftkings points per minute. If he plays anywhere near like 30 minutes, he can easily outperform the salary, especially in a good matchup against San Antonio. But if they're going to keep bringing him off the bench, then it's kind of tough to predict really how many minutes Christian Wood's going to play. He's more of just like a GPP dart throw. Tim Hardaway Jr. at 5,700, I'll pass on. Josh Green, I'll pass on. Luka and Kyrie are clearly the standout plays from Dallas, but I think Wood is a viable GPP option. I would definitely feel a lot better about him if he moves into the starting lineup, but I don't know if that's going to happen. We can talk about the San Antonio side, though. For San Antonio, going to need to monitor a few injuries here. So Devin Vassell, he's been out for a while, been out since like the beginning of January. Don't really have any update yet on his status. We'll see if he's able to return for this game. Probably not. And then Trey Jones was out as well prior to the All-Star break, was missing a lot of games. I would think Trey Jones is more likely to return than Vassell is, but both these guys will have to monitor their injury, or will have to monitor their statuses. Take a look at the San Antonio injury report. If they're both out still, like if Devin Vassell is still out, if Trey Jones is still out, then we can expect we can expect Keldon Johnson to have a really big role here. And with Dallas trading away kind of their best defender in Dorian Finney-Smith, this is definitely a better matchup for Keldon Johnson than you might think. Now, Keldon Johnson has not shown like a big ceiling this season, and even with these guys out, he's not been a guy that you really have wanted to roster, but I think he can put up a big game any night, and with the usage there, the minutes there, I think Keldon Johnson's playable at 7K. Not a priority play, but he would definitely be playable. Again, Vassell and Trey Jones, we don't really know if they're going to be available for these games. If they do return, they'll probably be on a minutes limit, so I don't think either one are going to be that appealing. Zach Collins is definitely my favorite play on San Antonio. Zach Collins just been super consistent ever since taking over as a starter. With Jakob Poeltl no longer on the team, I mean, moving forward, Zach Collins is going to be the starting center for the Spurs, and he's a good per-minute producer. He's played at least 32 minutes in 3 of the last 4 games he started. He's going to average probably over a fantasy point per minute. I think the matchup against Dallas is definitely, it's favorable. I think he's firmly in play today, so I do like Zach Collins quite a bit on this slate. He's for sure my favorite play on San Antonio. The rest of the Spurs, though, Jeremy Sohan at 5,200. Been getting pretty good minutes. Per minute production has not been that great. Last game he played 32 minutes, but only had 19 Draftkings points. But I think with San Antonio kind of, looking to develop some of these younger guys, I expect Sohan to, play big minutes, rest of the season. I expect him to have a big role. They want to see what they have available, or they want to see what they have in Sohan. So at 5,200, I think Sohan is in play today. I don't have an issue going to him. The rest of these guys, though, it's really going to depend on like Vassell and Trey Jones. For example, like Devontae Graham, been playing pretty well since getting traded to San Antonio. Been playing good minutes, but I think his minutes would definitely take a hit if Vassell and or Trey Jones return. So his outlook kind of depends on if those guys play or not. We'll have to again keep an eye on that. But yeah, that'll do it for that game. Let's move on to the next one. We've still got 3 more games to go over, so let's try and get through these quickly, guys. OKC and Utah. So for Utah today, Lauri Markkanen played in the All-Star game and, I think played somewhat normal minutes. So I expect Lauri Markkanen to be available for this game. He should be back. Matchup against OKC is, okay, but at 9,400, you're definitely paying max price for Lauri Markkanen today. So at his price tag, I don't love him. Obviously, Russell Westbrook got, bought out, and he's on the Clippers now, so he won't be playing for Utah. I don't know why he's still listed on the player pool. Jordan Clarkson at 7,500, where he's priced at. I'm not super interested in him. I think the guys that really stand out from Utah, for me, are Walker Kessler and Colin Sexton. Walker Kessler gets a great matchup against a Thunder team that has given up big games to centers all season. They've been a really good matchup for centers kind of all year. The minutes have been strong for Walker Kessler. Besides that game against Indiana where he was in foul trouble, he was playing 30-plus minutes a night, has always been a good per-minute producer. 5,700 in this matchup, I think Walker Kessler looks really appealing today. I have a lot of interest in him. I think Colin Sexton looks pretty solid as well. Colin Sexton did get injured in their most recent game that he played in, but I would assume after a week to rest up, he's probably going to be back for this one. And with Westbrook not on the team anymore, bought out, it's pretty much Colin Sexton that's going to be the starting point guard rest of season for Utah. And in the games that he has started in, he's played full minutes. He's been relatively productive in. So I think Colin Sexton at 5,600 looks okay as well. Even Kelly Olynyk, I don't mind. Kelly Olynyk's had a pretty good role, been playing really good minutes. His price tag at 5,300 is pretty appealing too. So those are the kind of guys I'm looking to on Utah. Kessler, Olynyk, Sexton. Probably going to pass on the rest of the Jazz though. It's really those 3 that I like most from Utah. And then on the other side with OKC, it's a really good spot for SGA. I think at 10.5, SGA is firmly in play as a pay-up option here. I would definitely put him up there with guys like Jokic and Joel Embiid and Luka. I mean, the matchup against Utah is great. Utah's been a good matchup for point guards all season. Colin Sexton or Jordan Clarkson, whoever they put on SGA here, it's going to be a mismatch. And we've seen SGA just have a really big role with the Thunder this year. The Thunder have been a better team than a lot of people expected, so they've been able to keep games close. SGA, been playing full minutes in a lot of games this season. There's been a couple games where he's lost minutes because of blowout, but normally when it's close, he's going to play like 36, 38 minutes. And I think in this game against the Jazz, a game that should be competitive, we can expect 36, 38 minutes from SGA. Matchup's really good, so I definitely like SGA today. I don't mind Giddey either at 8,300, but I'd rather go to SGA between those 2. The rest of OKC, though, I'll probably pass on like Jalen Williams and Lou Dort and all these other guys. The clearer standout play is SGA. Let's move on to the next 2 games. Last 2 games of the night, the Warriors and the Lakers. So for the Lakers today, you got LeBron coming in at 10-7. I expect LeBron to be able to play this game. Obviously, didn't play last game. He got... he did play in their most recent game, but he did get ruled out for the All-Star game. He missed like the second half or something. He didn't play much in the All-Star game. He should be good to go, for this one. And the Lakers, they need to win games to, potentially make the playoffs, to make the play-in. So I expect LeBron to try and play every game that he can the rest of the season. I expect LeBron to play this game. Now that the Lakers are fully healthy, they have AD healthy, they have all these other guys healthy, D'Angelo Russell, Dennis Schroeder, Jared Vanderbilt, Rui, all these other guys are healthy. I'm not too interested in LeBron here. I do expect LeBron to kind of, try and just lead the team to victory every night just because they need to win these games. But at 10-7, I think LeBron is priced correctly. I think AD at 10-6 feels priced about right as well. Both of the Lakers stars are playable here, but I would rather go to like Luka, Embiid, some of those guys that we've already talked about. And then like D'Angelo Russell, playing with LeBron and with AD, I just don't know if Russell's going to have a big enough role to be worth rostering at 6,500. I think he'll have random games like last game where he kind of pops off and shoots well, but he's going to be a tough guy to predict most nights. I don't know if at 6,500 he's going to be someone I really want to roster at this salary. I do expect this to be a fast-paced, high-scoring game, so for that reason, like you could definitely roster some of these guys, but there's no priority plays coming from the Lakers, I don't think. We did see them change up the starting lineup last game. They did start Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt, though, didn't play too much. He played 28 minutes, wasn't very productive. Vanderbilt has been a good permanent producer, at least when he was on Utah. And last year when he was on Minnesota, he was a good permanent producer. How is his production going to be on the Lakers? We'll have to see. But if he continues to start, like I think he's playable at 4,200. And then Malik Beasley also started last game, played 23 minutes, was not very productive either. But if he's going to start again, I think at 4,100, he's a playable value. So Vanderbilt and Beasley are both playable value options if they continue to start, which I assume they will. They're playable, but that's pretty much it for the Lakers. Nothing else looks that great. And then on the other side with the Warriors, we know the Warriors are still going to be without Steph Curry. Andrew Wiggins should play this game. I would assume he'll be back. Looking at the main Golden State guys, though, I mean, Jordan Poole's been great lately without Steph, but he's 9,100, so you're kind of paying the max price for Jordan Poole today. Matchup's really good, but I think at 9,100, I'm going to pass on Jordan Poole. I'm going to pass on Clay at 8,800. Even Draymond at 7,400 feels a little bit overpriced. Draftkings, man, they really priced up a lot of guys today. There's a lot of guys that just feel really overpriced. Again, this game environment should be really good. This should be a fast-paced game, but the price tags on Poole and Clay and Draymond, like none of them look that great where they're priced at. Wiggins even at 6,700, I don't love. Looney at 4,400, you can maybe go to for value. I think he's a playable value option. If he continues to get like 25, 30 minutes a night, I think he's on, in consideration for me. They probably want him out there in this matchup against AD. They want his size. Last time they faced the Lakers, he did put up 29 DK points in only 23 minutes. We haven't talked about like a ton of great value on this slate, so I think Looney at 4,400 is in play. He might be my favorite play on Golden State. But that'll do it for that game. Let's go ahead and talk about the last game on the night, the Blazers and the Kings. So for the Kings here, Sabonis and Fox are probably the two guys you're going to look to most from Sacramento, but they're kind of expensive. Sabonis is he's 10,100 and Fox is 9,800. Sabonis, not really shown like a massive ceiling lately. He did have that big game against Phoenix, but prior to that, he was just putting up like 40, 45 DK points a night, which at his salary, not really getting the job done. But I think this matchup against Portland is really good. We've seen Portland give up some big games to centers lately. If they still don't have use of Nurkic, we'll have to see if Nurkic returns for this game. If they don't have Nurkic here, I think the matchup for Sabonis is pretty good. So Sabonis is probably my favorite play on Sacramento. Fox, prior to the All-Star break, was playing great, was putting up big game after big game. But now that his price tag is caught up to 9,800, I'd rather go to Sabonis if I was going to play one of those two guys. And then the secondary pieces from Sacramento, Herter, Monk, Barnes, Keegan Murray, none of these guys were that appealing. They haven't shown a ton of upside this season when they're playing with Fox and with Sabonis. So I'll probably pass on the rest of Sacramento. And then on the other side with Portland, Damian Lillard coming in at 11,400. Lillard obviously really expensive today. More expensive than what? Joel Embiid. I think he's almost more expensive than Jokic. Almost more expensive than Luka. Man, it's really tough to pay 11.4 for Dame, but Dame obviously has been crushing lately. He's been playing without Simons and without Grant, so he's really had to take on a big role. I'm assuming that Grant and Simons will both be back for this game. Don't know yet if they'll have use of Nurkic or not. At 11.4, even in a good matchup against Sacramento, I'm probably going to pass on Dame today. I think I'd rather go to Jokic, to Embiid, to Luka, to Kyrie. Those guys that we've talked about are pay-up options I prefer. Again, Simons and Grant, I think, will be back for this game. Where they're priced at, Simons is 7,300, Grant is 6,900. I'm not in love with either one. And then Nurkic, we don't know yet if his status. He's been out for a while, been out since beginning of February. They said that he was gonna be evaluated after the All-Star break. So don't know yet if he's gonna return for this game. If he does return, he might be on a minutes limit. So I'm probably not even gonna consider him. Obviously, if he returns, that does pretty much take Drew Eubanks out of play. Don't know if Eubanks is a guy that we'd really want to go to anyway, but Eubanks was starting and playing 25, 28 minutes a night. They're probably going to want his size out there against Sabonis. So I think at 4,600, Eubanks is a playable value, assuming that, obviously Nurkic remains out. That's really it, though, for Portland. Nothing else stands out here from the Blazers. Obviously with Simons and Grant back, that's pretty much going to take the rest of these guys out of play. I know Matisse Thybulle was playing big minutes prior to the All-Star break, but I think that was kind of just because they didn't have Simons, they didn't have Grant. Since those guys are coming back, Thybulle probably will go back to the bench, take on a much lesser role. Not really going to be playable. So yeah, that'll do it, guys. That'll do it for this 9-game Thursday slate. I know this video was kind of long, but wanted to talk through everything. It is the first slate back from the All-Star break, so there's kind of a lot up in the air right now, a lot of question marks. I'm recording this video on Wednesday afternoon, so we're still waiting on some of these injuries to get updated. But it should be a fun slate. I'm excited to be back talking NBA with you guys. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope it did help. As always, if you guys enjoy these DFS videos, hit that like button down below, hit that subscribe button if you have not yet. And again, if you guys are new to the channel, be sure to check out PrizePicks, sponsor of the video. You guys can sign up for PrizePicks, use my promo code NOAH. You will get your first deposit matched up to $100 when you do sign up for PrizePicks with my promo code. Check out all the props they have available for this game. If there's anything that stands out to you, again, you're just taking more or less on a player's projection. You have to make at least 2 picks. If you can make up to 6 picks, you can win up to 25x your money on PrizePicks. Check them out. Use that promo code when you sign up and get your first deposit matched up to $100. But good luck tonight, guys. Thanks for watching the video. As always, excited to be back from the All-Star break. Excited to talk through some NBA with you guys. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. And again, wish you the best of luck tonight. We'll see you in the next one. Peace.